Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Adoptees podcast. And yeah, this is the first one I've done for a few weeks. It's been away on holiday, so it feels kind of weird saying that, but yeah, out of my stride. Welcome to the show, Sara Hathaway. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Hello.
And also a lovely distraction from email, computer hell. So this is far more fun than juggling software programs, right? So we're going to talk healing as we do on the Thriving Adoptees podcast. So what does healing mean to you, Sara?
I think healing in a sort of overall sense is sense of peace, sense of well-being, being content where you're at. I think healing is a journey in whatever aspect it takes form with you and whatever needs healing. And I think it's something that we, in a sense, with our particular topic on being adopted, it's something that we often crave, and we often don't quite understand how we get there. We've all got a similarity when we come on to Simon's show, Side podcasts, but from that, everything else is different. So everybody's story is different. And healing, it's you can't tick box it and say it's done, especially with this journey. And I think with Simon's story, similar to a lot of us, where we were adopted in an arena where it was closed adoptions, things crop up later on in life. And then you feel, oh, right, oh gosh, what do I do with this information? If you find your biological family, or all sorts of things come up, which is the same thing that's happened to me. And it sort of, does it open old wounds or does it give you new wounds? And then it's like, what do I do with these? How do I get my head around this? How do I process it? And ultimately, how do I heal? In a sense, to become a whole person. I think that's probably one thing I've sort of wanted, possibly craved at times, is to feel complete. Yeah. So, and I don't know how many people feel that they do feel complete. Is that something we ever feel as a human being, let alone somebody that's been adopted? I don't think so. I think I'd probably take the view that we have life is a journey, this life or previous lives or whatever, however you look at it. And I think with my own story, my own adoption, I've always seen my life as a jigsaw puzzle. And for me, the beginning was always elusive. It was grey. There was bits missing. And then for events through life, you can, there's bits that haven't been completed and need filling in for different reasons. But I think fundamentally the beginning of our lives as adoptees is just, it's that invisible thing, isn't it? We don't know. We just don't know. So you start your life with that, and potentially that can affect all sorts along the way. I do often think that if you are open-minded, you have choices with everything in life. But so I see it as a jigsaw puzzle. And as you go through life, yes, this end of the jigsaw puzzle isn't complete yet because you're living it. But to start life with incompleteness through the trauma of adoption, not having any choices, obviously at that age, it's so invisible. And that's something I've only recently taken on board. And I think that's where my healing part is going now. I need to heal what I feel about finding about my biological mother and stuff, So it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Wow, there's so much there. I'm at a loss to which bit
Unpick it.
to dive in. I think my gut feel on that would be to kind of zoom in, right? We're taking a big step out. You've given us a great kind of canvas. And so my next question to you then is to go from that macro big picture down into the micro, the healing moments, the transformative moments. So do any particular healing moments come to mind?
I think over the recent years, because over the last 18 months, this is when I've actually met or know more about my biological family. My biological mum passed away sometime, so I wasn't ever going to meet her. But I have siblings that I didn't know existed. I have 4 siblings. So I think it was the healing bits. It's again, it feels, I'm quite a black and white thinker at times, and it does feel like bits, does feel like jigsaw bits. And often it's events that help you fill that in and then help you process it and potentially to feel good about it, hopefully, for it to work, for it to be positive. And I think the things that have helped me recently was that there was a process. I actually went through long lost families to find my birth mother. That was the aim of the program, and it was aired last year on the last series. Complex story, as we all are, complex stories. But for me, the healing bits at that point were knowing, having information, having the facts. It's having the facts, but then obviously you then think, what does that make me feel like? What does it make me, when I found out stuff about my birth mother and it wasn't particularly positive, it's like, okay, that's the fact. This is what we know about her. She had 5 children and didn't really want any of them, and our stories are very, very different and very complex. So that's a fact, put that in so I know who she is. Does that help me with healing? It's given me information. So I think my healing would start off with information things. But the big one on the emotional side was when I met my siblings. I met 2 of them on the program. And it was very much like it is you're filmed. The reaction you see is what happens at that time. It's not fake, it's real. So I had the shock of the information initially. And that's like, oh God. But the meeting then, and you could sort of pull it apart a bit and say, all right, okay, did they want to meet? You don't. That just goes out the window. It's family, and we were very fortunate, I think, and I can only speak for myself and hopefully them, that we felt the same. We wanted to meet. No one ever knew about me. I was, we were the best kept secrets ever, all 3 of us to a certain level, but luckily, so I met my elder brother and my younger sister the next one down. They'd found each other 25 years ago. And then there was 2 younger siblings, which our mother kept. So they obviously found about them as well. So I was a complete and utter mystery. At the age of 58, I came out the woodwork, But to meet them, the healing point for me was that physical contact.
Yeah.
That physical hug. That, oh my God. I think with that, it just, that was the emotional bit. You can do all the factual bit, can't you, with the facts, and you can stop them in and you can be quite sort of with it, but the emotional bit is a completely different ball game. So to meet them and just literally hug the life out of somebody, I think it's something you can't put into words, Simon. It's
an experience, right?
It is an experience. It's emotional, it's feelings, yeah.
It's a whole body. It's a whole body.
Yeah. And I know when I was given the photographs of my siblings when it was being filmed, that was when it was a jolt. It was very much, and I felt something, but I can't describe what that was because I'd never had it before. So then you can take the negative side of it, saying like the longing of not finding something I've never had all my life is like, that's just shocking when I'm part of the family and whatever else. But because of the genetic bit, I don't know what you call it, but the knowing I belonged was just there. Again, you can't describe it. So it's very much the emotional bit. And to have a hug, for my big brother to go, here, your big brother's here to give you a cut. Well, I was on the floor. That, to me, that made everything positive, made everything, oh my God, this has just changed my world. Yeah. So that's a pivotal moment for me.
And have you given any thought to what was happening in there? Have you kind of tried to, because you talked about being a black and white thinker and talking about rationality, have you done any kind of unpacking of what was happening, or have you just gone with the flow?
I think because it's still fairly early days, I've gone more with the flow.
Yeah.
I've and the acceptance. I think because we genuinely feel the same and want to get to know each other, we completely, totally accept we're siblings, the three of us, you know. So I think that I haven't necessarily unpicked it, because I think the security I felt from that could be fragile if I did.
Yeah. Okay. What's coming to my mind is this, you know, the book that a lot of people talk about, The Body Keeps the Score, right? And you're talking about, you know, a physical thing, a physical experience, a hug.
Yeah.
And the sense to me was that score that your body has kept has been released. May have, I mean, I'm just speculating, right? But what we try and do on the podcast is kind of unpick the healing stuff so that other people can learn from it, right? And I'm in the place that I'm in at the moment. I'm doing somatic stuff.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Yes, I'm interested in that.
I'm doing somatic stuff, but I can't actually. Well, I'm aware of two half siblings, but they're on my birth father's side, and he blew me out last year, right? Sorry if this doesn't make any sense to American people. This is British metaphor. We had a brief conversation with him, and he said, "Don't call me again." Right, so that's what I mean by blowing me out. He's saying, "I don't want any further contact." You know, so I could go after those two half siblings. I've done some research, and I know how I could get in touch with them if I really wanted to, but I don't want to upset the apple cart. The apple cart. I want to don't upset the apple cart. And I don't know whether, and they're quite a lot younger than me, so I don't think we'd have that much in common, right? But I am meeting two cousins next month, so that might give me the thing. But I'm doing the somatic stuff because we've got, you know, we're doing the somatic stuff. I'm doing the somatic stuff because we've got, you know, healing on 5 levels, it seems to me, right?
Yeah.
So psychological stuff, emotional, the feeling stuff, body, the physical stuff, right? That's what we're talking about here. And then we've got the other areas, the kind of, obviously they all the deals cross relate to one another. We've got the relationship side, the social side, and we've got that spiritual essence of who we are, that essential part of us. So looking at healing across those 5 levels, rather than just thinking it's psychological, talking about a broader take. And so what's coming up for me is, okay, this is our pre-verbal trauma, that's stored in our genes, according to Bessel van der Kolk and Gabor Mate and all these people, and that's what's being healed. So it's like a long game of whack-a-mole, right? So you've healed some stuff, some psychological stuff. You've healed some stuff, emotional stuff. Then you've healed some other stuff. It's the pre-verbal stuff, and that's kind of what I would guess is going on.
Yeah, I think it's so deep, and I think I've done. Is it a classic adoptee type thing? You know, I was fortunate. I was adopted. When we say that a lot, don't we? by my mum and dad, and they were brilliant. My mum was especially fantastic. I was truly, you know, she was just you know, if you drew your perfect mother, I was fortunate that that was my mum. And I had two adopted brothers. We were all on the same playing field. So I never really visited what you just described. And over time, when there was a bereavement or something, and I had a little bit of counselling, the professionals were always quite shocked that I never told them I was adopted unless it was just in conversation. And I would do the classic adoptee, that's not an issue. I'm okay, thanks. I've always known I was adopted. I've always been given permission to look if I wanted to. But then you realise as you start to unpick things, it's the classic people pleasing and all this sort of stuff going on.
But we've got it's pre-verbal.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
haven't got words for it. It's
yeah,
pre-memory trauma, so we haven't got any
yeah.
memory of it, and that's why it's deep, and that's why it comes up in
It's
length, as far as
truly
I can
resonates.
gather, right?
Yeah.
My
So
conversations with.
I haven't, in a sense, I haven't visited that, but I think as a person as a whole, I'm quite I'm like a holistic therapist, and so I completely get what you're saying, and I'm just starting to recognize the 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 trauma, that the extent of that trauma of being just. I was talking to my dad about it actually, being removed from your birth mother. So I said to him, right, it's nothing about how you brought me up. It's nothing about my birth mother and what she was like. It's that trauma of being removed from your birth mother, the person that should be nurturing, and be taken away. And you know, I did the very basic stuff because I'm learning lots. And he just said, we've never thought about it. I thought, no, that's it. It was more than just invisible, isn't it? That's the thing.
Well, the primal wound wasn't written until 1992, 93.
Yeah.
You were adopted, what, 66, 65?
65, yeah, 65.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you're 30 years ahead of it. You know, like, I find myself saying this a lot, right? Because we do so much complaining within the adoptee space, not you and me, I'm just in general, right? We do so much complaining, but we're judging 1960s parenting on 2024
Knowledge.
trauma knowledge, and it's just not fair, right?
I'm so glad you said that, because again, I like you, there are lots of forums and things that I sort of listen to and read posts and stuff, and I really feel for adopted parents, to be honest, because they get such a rough deal. You know, and I can again speak from my own experience. I just thought, hang on, well, my mum and dad decided to adopt for their own reasons, and I could go into that, and you could say that we were sticking plaster kids in a way to a marriage that wasn't particularly happy, but they were willing to take on 3 complete and utter strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about what I said about complaining. Complaining doesn't make me feel better.
No.
Right. So, you know, like we're not. I'm not holding anybody up as paragons of virtue or whatever. You know, it's just you know, you had a great word, you know, craving healing. Well, if we're craving healing, if that's what we want to do, if we want to heal, then to what extent is complaining going to help us along that journey?
No, it doesn't help at all. And I think that's why I've been attracted to your programs and your podcasts and stuff, because of the positivity of what you do.
But I'm not positive. I'm not trying to put a positive spin on it. I just don't think being negative has ever helped me.
But it's looking at the bigger picture, isn't it? That's what I mean. You look at it at the bigger picture, and
it's a perspective. It's a perspective thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I talk about insights, you know, lead new perspectives, taking us to a different place. It's perspectives that help us heal. But what you've just said to me in terms of the healing moment of the hug from your big brother,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, Simon, you've completely missed that part out. I've been taking quite a logical take on it. All right, well, it's insights. Time isn't the greatest healer. So what is? Well, it's insights. But that seems trivial at a certain level compared to the whole experience of you hugging your big brother.
Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit more history to it as well, because I actually lost my adopted big brother tragically when I was 42, and literally overnight he was gone. And he, ironic in a way, was my rock. He was the male model in my life that was my rock. So it was significant for other reasons as well. But nothing takes it away from the fact that there was, I was given a photograph. I thought, what am I feeling? The other thing I think that's been really important for me with the healing side is the total acceptance that we all accept that we're brothers and sisters. We don't question it, we don't fight it. We've had completely different lives. And we could have all gone down the trauma route of, oh my God, wasn't our mother and write numerous books and whatever, but we've chosen not to. So that's why I say about choices. You have choices too.
Yeah.
I think ironically, because I went for the program and it went through the program, what happened. It was like, contracted in, it was going to happen. I didn't know when or whatever. So in some ways it was fast forwarded for me, what you're saying yourself about possibly meeting cousins or whatever else. In a sense, it was, oh right, we found you're in it and you filmed. So I knew when I signed up for it, I had to deal with whatever it came out with. So maybe that fast forwarded it, because actually that was out of my control in a way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't got any resolution, then they want a big story. They want a beginning, a middle, and an end, don't they?
Yeah, they want
If they
bumps
don't
and
get an end, I'm guessing they don't show the start of the story. The middle, the start, right? So
no,
they just get.
It's very much you contract in, they hold it, they research it, and they decide what they take forward. And you, I think a lot of people used to say to me, because I had my case for a long time, I had it for 5 years first and closed it, and then I won't go into it because it's a long story. I discovered some DNA family, which I think on my father's side, and they thought, who are you? We know all our family. We've got books and books of genealogy and stuff. And we're fascinated because DNA doesn't lie. And then when I met them, I really physically look like them. So they were like first cousins-ish. We still don't know. They researched it. They found the key bit of evidence, my mum's marriage certificate in South Africa, and gave it to me. Amazing family. Again, I don't know whether it's part of it is I'm very upfront, I'm very open. What you see is what you get. So, because with that family, they were very accepting and open, and we want to know where you fit. I haven't met any negativity with it, which really helps. So that piece of evidence, I just pinged back to the program, and then within 4 weeks, it was done and dusted.
Yeah.
So it was that was a journey. I wouldn't say it's a healing journey.
So, what else has helped you heal?
What else? I think linking up now, which I've never really done until the last couple of years, linking up with other people that adopted. I don't know about you. I realised there was very few people that I talked to that were adopted, about being adopted. It wasn't in my mind. It just wasn't there. we didn't talk as brothers and sisters because we were happy. We didn't need to. We were brothers and sisters. So it wasn't a topic of conversation. We used to ask my mum, my adopted mum, about our backgrounds. She told us what she knew, the little she knew, and it was a bit of a holiday topic. You know, oh, mum, tell us about what you know. So we were all fairly rock solid with it all. So that helped with healing. And I think the other thing for me, I think I'd say acceptance. Acceptance of my situation. Even when it changes, even when it's doing the roller coaster bit and you're not sure where it's going. I think acceptance, well, this is what it is, this is your life, and it's been good. And I think being fairly positive about life helps. So I do feel acceptance for me is quite a big. I've accepted I was adopted. I didn't really have this massive longing to think, does my mum think about me on my birthday at Christmas? I never had that. I think I had some innate knowledge that I was not a wanted baby. And look forward rather than back, maybe. So along that type of thinking, as I've gone through life, I think it heals you as you go along. Because I'm not digging great big holes looking for something to go woe is me about.
Yeah. But accepting that you're unwanted, that sounds like a big thing.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think what's happening now, it's like what you shared about your story. It's, as an adult now, it has opened up. I wouldn't say can of worms, that's too negative for me. It's opened up things that I need to work on to heal me, to become a whole person. I think when we started talking, it's about what is healing, to feel peace. I'd like to feel peace, and I'd like to just go, oh, it's okay, rather than running around like a mad thing doing far too much, which is my natural nature to do. And I think that's part of trauma.
Yeah.
So I've got work to do, basically. I'm okay as a person. I've got my feet firmly on the ground. And that's just through, you know, I had good parents. I had a fantastic mum. I was wanted. I was loved. I've had my own two children, got divorced and everything, but what I find, again, a beautiful thing, which possibly is healing with my biological siblings, is that we've all got children and we have not repeated what our mother did. None of us. So we're built of strong stuff for difficult circumstances. So I think I take that as a very positive step forward, a healing step, maybe, that we've not done what she did.
So a rather simplistic question has come to mind. So it's juxtaposing unwanted by your birth mother, but wanted by your mum and dad. Is that?
Yeah. I think to a certain level, yes, and my acceptance of that. And we were given the classic adoptee story that, you know, your birth mother couldn't manage to keep you. Not a sob story, just sort of fairly factual. But we really wanted you. And I think because I've worked in the sort of caring professions all my life, and I can see how much they had to go through to actually adopt, then, you know, it's not an easy process. It's not an easy process now. So that really, for me, on a practical way, that reinforced that they did want us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So which bits, I mean, separating out the relinquishment trauma,
yeah,
and any trauma that goes on in the adoptive family, I think is huge for all of us, because it's called, you know, people talk about adoption trauma. Well, it's the relinquishment which is that's the thing that happens first.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a fellow adoptee about this yesterday, and I came up with this idea that, you know, if it seems to be multiplicative to me, right? So if the relinquishment trauma is a 5, and the trauma that goes in the adoptive family is a 5, it's not 5 plus 5, it's 5 times 5, right? So it gives 25. But if we have like 5 for the relinquishment trauma, but almost no trauma whatsoever in the adoptive family, give that a 1, right? That's 5. That just gives 5. And I don't know. I was good at maths at school somehow, but you know, like it's separating out the two.
Yeah.
Is essential, and we look at from, you know, you talked earlier on about our experiences, and it would, you know, that we've had it lucky in the adoptive families, and some people haven't. Some people have had it
very different stories,
really bad. And one of the things that's popping into my head these days is about the fact that you talked about being tough to become adoptive parents, even in the 60s in the UK. In the US, the adoptive parents pay. The adoptive parents pay the agency. In the UK, the government pays the agency, right? And what's kind of coming into my head is that, you know, perhaps our parents, UK parents, are judged on their ability,
yes,
not on their bank balance.
Yeah.
It is a big broad brush stuff. But anyway, enough of that. What does the healing bit, the healing ahead of you, look like, feel like?
I think the words that come straight into my head with that is actually, and it's actually quite emotional. I can feel it right here.
Okay.
It's going to be a peaceful process, because I really want it to be a peaceful process. It needs to happen. There's a lot that still needs to happen from the relinquishment side of things. And it'll be very emotional. I'm quite keen to look down the somatic side. I've in the past block clearance therapy. I gave that a go and had an amazing therapist with that, because you're not then digging. It's a very different sort of therapy where you're taken back to a certain point in your life that comes into your head, and you work on that. And that had incredible results. So part of me feels maybe I'll go back to that, just because a lot of that came up, and this is pre-family stuff, pre-siblings, all that. A lot of it came up from my trauma from my childhood. Massive recurrent nightmares, being very isolated on my own. I was mute as a child, you know, a lot of stuff. And I know I've got to revisit that. But I want it to be peaceful. I want it to flow. And I want to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I may be very naive about this, because this is a new-ish journey for me in that sense, the relinquish bit. And I'm sure this will be quite emotive for a lot of people, is that I feel, oh gosh, I think because what I know of my birth mother, and I obviously have never met her, she was a very complex woman. And I had three options I thought of about her when all this TV stuff was going on. And I thought, right, there's 3 things. I thought, if she's dead, there's nothing I can do about it. Be a practical person, nothing I can do about it. If she's alive and doesn't want to see me, there's not a lot I can do about that either. But the one thing that would have been hardest for me was, if she's alive and we meet and I don't like her, or she's not a very nice person, And I shared these with my next sister down, who's 10 years younger than me. And she just said to me, because she did meet her, she said to me, well, that'd have been a triple whammy, wouldn't it? Because of how she was, which is quite hard, isn't it? So for me, I know I'm quite fortunate that I haven't got to deal with another human being who happens to be my birth mother. And what that did through what I found through the program is it really cemented how good my adoption was. Really cemented, and that my mum was my mum, as in my adopted mum. Yeah, so it cleared a lot up, really, even though it was like there's so many questions. My younger sister, who's still in South Africa, she said on camera that mother went to her grave with all her secrets. We're never going to know the answers. And from that point of view, I'm quite pragmatic. There's no point me bashing my head against the wall, wanting to know why, this. I will never know. And I think being adopted and having that survival mechanism kick in, as I recognise now from birth, you have strength from that. You have strength and you build it up. You live in survival mode right through your life, whether you want to or not. You can change it and have things that help you thrive and things that help you flourish. But that survival bit at the beginning just shores you up, I think, in so many ways without you knowing about it.
Do you know much about the early parts of her life?
I know that her parents were married but split when she was very young. Her mum remarried. There was a space of a few years when they were on their own, just the two of them. Then she remarried, and her stepdad adopted her. He was actually it appears, a really lovely man, and my siblings met him. And he was a lovely man, but she was quite a troubled kid. I don't know the reasons why. And that continued right through her life. And she, I don't know, a lot of the stuff on my adoption folder when I got that were fabricated. Even on my birth certificate, stuff was fabricated. So, and she had 5 children, and yeah, didn't really. She kept the younger 2, but spent quite a lot of time in prison and things like that. So, very complex creature. Whether it was from a trauma her end, I will never know. But it was repetitive behaviour right through, which I've learnt bits about from her younger sister. She's got a half sister who's in this country now, so we've met a few times. And I think her mum, my grandma, was a very strong-minded woman, and they lived all over the world because it's a military background. So it's very complex. That her life was complex just from those sides. So whether she suffered a trauma when she was younger, I don't know anything about her dad or her.
Well, she lost her father fairly young through the divorce. So you could say that
could have,
that would score in this ACEs thing, adverse childhood experiences. There's a few different things that included.
So I can't colour it too much with painting her as such a bad woman, perhaps. I don't know. I can't really do that because I don't know. It's not fair. But the facts and the circumstances aren't good.
No. So I love this idea of this idea of a peaceful process to healing, right? And it strikes me as another kind of like a juxtaposition or a parallel, what's the word? Contrast, right? Because you talked earlier on about craving, and now you're talking about in the past, right? I guess, and now you're talking about peaceful. So there's something,
there's
something shifted, something big has shifted there. So there's a patience and a quietness, a steadiness about it, and like you. But there's a kind of like a steely,
Yeah.
a steely part to that. It's not fluffy. There's a determination for it to be peaceful.
Yes, there is actually. I think when my friends, I think, you know what it's like sometimes, it's people that reflect back to you about the changes that you don't necessarily feel or see about yourself. And I met someone recently, we went out for a meal, and she said, when I first met you, I just thought, my God, who is this woman that's bing, 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 bing. And I didn't realize how ping, ping, pingy I was. But now she says, now you know where you come from. And I don't know much about where I come from, but I think it's that sibling contact. I have people that got my back. And I think the lovely bit for me, and I think for my siblings, is we don't question it. Simon, we don't question that. There's total, when I said about acceptance before, there's total acceptance there. You know, it could turn around and kick you in the face, couldn't it? When you accept something completely and utterly, who knows? But we don't fight it. None of us fight it. We all appreciate that we want to get to know each other. And it's not like, oh, this massive, great big thing. We catch up with phone calls, we meet when we can. We all went on holiday last year. It's not been forced. None of it has been forced. So I feel very lucky that's the case.
So it's a gentle unfolding.
Yeah. Whereas we could have, you know, all of us could have just gone a little bit bonkers and thought, oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come and move and live next door to you. Da, 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 da. We haven't, because I think we have the security knowing that we're in each other's lives.
Well, it's the flip of that craving thing again, isn't it, really?
Yeah. So I think that's, you know, it's so difficult, isn't it, when it starts with invisible traumas you talked about, because when you've lived as long as this, I would say I've had a very eventful life, more so than lots of people, and you do wonder sometimes, why is that? Which has left me, I mean, the reason I searched, the reason that pushed me forward with searching was that I lost my mum and my brother in the same year. And I'd lost half my family. I felt so rootless. So that sort of pushed me forward to accelerate it, really, to do what I could do. So it's that combination, isn't it? And when you said earlier on about people moaning or being angry or whatever else about it, we could all do that.
I've definitely done it, yeah.
You know, and we have our, you know, moments, but I think because I've worked with people all my life as an occupational therapist, and it's to promote wellness and independence and stuff, I've always had that slant of things. And I just think I don't get me wrong, I have periods of depression, but generally I don't want circumstances to control me. I want to be able to make the decisions, and that's why I've said a few times, we do have choices.
Yeah. And a lot of the time we're not choosing.
And a lot of times because we don't know what to do. I mean, in a sense, like I say, I don't really know what my next healing path will be. I don't know whether I'm interested in some semantics. I'm a bit of a flibbertigibbet. It's sometimes difficult to pin me down. I recognize that I want this peaceful journey, and I don't question it not happening, but I'm not quite sure how, you know. Yeah, so we're just complex creatures, but with the added trauma, we're even more complex creatures of not of our doing. That's what I do realize now. It's just so, I was absolutely gobsmacked about the relinquishment side, because I really had not taken that on board till recently. And whether that's a protective thing, I don't know.
But you'd felt it. You'd felt it.
Obviously, yeah, absolutely. I would, you know, I've always joked for years that I came out of the womb with independent tattooed on my backside. my whole life has all the circumstances have made me uber independent to the extreme. I don't really necessarily like that. I find it very hard to rely on people and trust people. To the deep side, I've got a massive network of friends wherever I've got a very good network, but the real core, I know this person's got my back. There's very few people in my life that I could say do that. And then so meeting my brother and thinking, yeah, this guy's got my back. My sister's got my back. I know I can ring them now and say, I need help. Whereas I haven't had that for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's the healing bit for me is it's a massive journey. One that you can get off the train when you want to and leave it, park it for a bit and then get back on. Consciously you can do that, but subconsciously there's stuff going on, full stop. And it affects your life all the way through.
Yeah, I think that's what I was alluding to with the choices, subconscious choices.
Yeah, it's a different level, isn't it? Yeah.
So what does the process look like for you going forward?
But I think generally it sort of embraces what I want to do in my life now. I have a craving for freedom. I don't like to conform. And ironically, the freedom, a lot of it is actually being on my own, going out there, climbing mountains, going to the sea, just spending time. And that's the peace bit, I think. I am a coach as well now. I'm sort of trying to find a lifestyle where I can travel and work. With regard to my personal healing with the adoption, I go with the flow. I know things need to happen, but I'm not in a bad place. And things will, I do lots of different stuff. I'm a bit of a busy bee. And I'll take opportunities when they arise. So in a sense, part of me is sort of thinking, oh, when that opportunity arises, oh yeah, I'll do that. And I'll give the somatics a go. I'll go and give that block clearance a go. I will do something about it. But I'm not driven to think, I've got to do this now. I don't feel that need. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, if anything, do you think has got in the way of your healing in the past?
Oh, right. I think really, and I think probably a lot of us feel this, is we often become the go-to person. We often become the person that friends talk to when they've got problems, because we're the people pleasers and all that stuff. So I think really that through life has made it difficult for me to ask for help.
So you've been stuck in give mode rather than the receive.
Absolutely.
Or ask for, yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd say that was all through my life. So that's the one thing I would say has prevented things.
Has their burdens brought you down as well, or have you been at a distance from their stuff?
I think I'm quite an empathetic. I can't say it.
Empathetic.
Yeah, I'm naturally that. So I naturally gravitate. I can stand in the Morrison supermarket and I'll know the guy behind me. I'll know the whole story by the time I got to the checkout. At times that sucks the energy out of you, and it's very individual, depends on the person. But I have had very bad burnout over the years because of the work I do, because it give. And I'm a single person, so I haven't had that person, I'm married 15 years ago. I haven't had that go home and talk to somebody and you offload that day. So I think over time it's built up. So yes, it's had a detrimental effect on that sense, but I also have an acceptance or a pride of the skills I have to communicate with people and make them feel comfortable enough to talk. And I think there is always been that survival mode and level of resilience to manage whatever's thrown at you. So, but it doesn't make asking for help any easier.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my ability to be a therapist and talk to people and help them, but that's one side of the coin, isn't it? It hasn't helped me go, actually, I need some help here.
Is there anything that pops into your head that I've not asked you about?
I think it's just I think the thing is, we could talk for hours on all this sort of stuff, couldn't we? I think what I'd find interesting talking to you is knowing more about the theories behind the traumas and stuff like that. It makes me want to go away and learn more, which is good. Asking me anything, no, I think we're coming on. And thank you very much for inviting me on. I think it was just to share a bit of my story and take it hopefully on a positive slant, that sometimes we don't know how strong we are. We've had to be strong. We're thrown in it straight away. But it, yeah. So no, I'd like to take I've had a good life. There are traumas, all sorts, and I'm recognizing the birth trauma now. So I thank you for, in that sense, you've been part of that journey for me. And I'll be listening more to your podcast to get advice and ideas of where to look and to look at resources, and like the somatics you mentioned, I'm quite keen on that side of things to help with that peaceful process I'm having. We tend to have. So no, I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me on.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, and we'll link to your socials and that sort of stuff in the show notes as usual, right?
Yeah, no, great. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
No, I think we're kind of there,
Yeah, it's good to focus on the healing side. I think it's really good what you do. Yeah.
Thanks, Sara, and thanks, listeners. We'll
That's a
speak to you
pleasure.
again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.